Hey special family, welcome back to another video. Today we're doing a Reddit edition and the title is Husband Resents Autism Son. My 9-year-old male son has been showing more challenging behaviors and I'm trying my best to navigate, but I'm pretty frustrated. I'm the primary caregiver and attend all IEP meetings, read the books, watch the videos, etc. My definition of challenging right now is screaming when he doesn't get his way and retreating to his room, slamming the door. Extreme whining for non preferred activities, very specific preferences of seating, certain spots on the couch. He's expressing so proud that the lack of routine in summer bothers him and he wants us to follow the classroom schedule, which I'm starting tomorrow. I'm trying, I understand. He processes differently than we do, and he's just as frustrated. In most instances, he comes to me within a few minutes and apologizes and tries to talk it out. Sometimes this works him up again, but I think it's progress. I want to help him regulate those emotions and recognize when they affect other people. My husband, his dad, seems to resent it. I'm 38 female, my husband is 38 male. He has his own issues, but when he doesn't get his way, wants to sit in sunspots on the couch, he huffs off to the garage and mumbles something like, he always gets his way, never about me, it's always whatever he says, like he rules the house. I'm not wanted. Even as I type this, I realize how childish it sounds. He says I coddle my son. I have explained this to his caseworker at school, who says I'm not. Rather, that I've created a safe space for him to express this way, as he does not do any of this at school. She applauded my efforts and affirmed me. Yeah, that plays a big deal. So, having a child with autism open up and express how they're feeling is a big deal. We can't expect to navigate a child with autism the same way we would do a neurotypical child, because our kids with autism, they their process is a little more different and it can get a little more complicated, and I can see how other kids or other spouses can feel left out, but two hands are better than one in this situation. But let's keep reading. For unrelated reasons, I'm on the cusp of asking for a divorce. Whoa. I am concerned about custody and how he will handle parenting time with my 9-year-old son. We have a 13-month or male son as well who has ADHD but can fairly well control the behaviors that bothered his dad, although he's still really hard on him for his sporadic noises. Anyone else have a spouse who just doesn't get it? How do you handle it? Admittedly, our communication is ish. He's mostly drunk, so I don't think it's worth it to have important conversations. But he generally refers to saying I coddle him and won't listen to the research I find or what his caseworker says. He has attended maybe one IEP meeting. How do I navigate? I don't want to discount husband's experience. We are all entitled to feelings, but it's important to acknowledge age, maturity, abilities, etc. in our son too. Whoa, that was a lot to unpack. It can really get tough if only one parent is on board regarding the parenting ways or schedules of the child with autism. It can definitely get tough. But if you're planning on divorcing this man, the court doesn't really take in consideration that he's an immature dad. If he doesn't want to pay child support, he will take 50-50 custody with you to opt out of paying a lot of child support, whether he's a good dad or not. So it might get sticky. But let's go to the comment section and see what the commenters had to say. Confident Leg 4020 wrote, sure, you wrote he said he always gets his way. It seems that your husband has difficulty differentiating hierarchy. In a parent-child relationship, there is a hierarchy. The parent should guide the child ideally. Your husband's comment reflects his inability to understand that a child and a parent are not on the same line. Ooh, you go, confident. Teach him the lesson. He always gets his way. This part reflects how he is currently unable to understand your son's perspective or what is going on internally with your son. This is common amongst autistics. It's not common sense. It may seem selfish on his part, but he truly doesn't understand why it has to be your son's way. His comments also reflect his inability to understand his role as a spouse and co parent. He needs to align himself with you and not get caught up and aligned with your child. That's when recognizing the triggers come in. Woo! Yes, girl. If your husband is an undiagnosed autistic, like I thought, he more than likely was told to get over it, like many of us were. This causes a lot of damage when you're constantly being told to just get on with it. I don't mean just once in a while, like we all may tell your kids. I mean parents that never even acknowledge that their child needed help and not criticism. All these factors would lead him to not understand your way of parenting. That's probably not how he was raised, and he probably sees some of the things he struggled with as a kid in his son and is like, I didn't get any slack. Why does he get free pass? That's an undealt trauma right there. Oh, yes, confident. Yes. So this commenter says, JD Rose, frankly, your husband is probably also on the spectrum and coping with alcohol. That's not an excuse though. I would suggest marriage and individual counseling for him, and if he won't go, you may need to leave. The OP responded, interesting perspective. I hadn't thought of that. Unfortunately, he has outright refused counseling, both in past years and recently. Neither marriage nor individual therapy. He will not go again. This decision is years in the making. My only hesitation is the kids. Ooh. Next commenter, Right Performance 553 says, sounds like you have your own answer. I understand alcoholism is a disease, but it's really hard on neurotypical kids. In autism, it's pretty much impossible. Your son has a disability. My son is not in control of his speech and even his body. In a lot of cases, so having this spot on the couch would give him a bit of control in a world where he doesn't have much. Original poster says, gosh, I love that phrasing. It's simplifying but meaningful. I'm going to share that. Thank you. Next commenter, Snowbunny A to Z says, the court will not care about your children or their disability. If dad wants 50-50 so he doesn't have to pay child support, told you, the court will give it to him. I would recommend trying to get him to sign an agreement about assets, debt, child custody before filing for divorce. I hope she takes that into consideration. This commenter says, I'm in a similar situation to you, or I was. My ex finds my parenting triggering and was also massively jealous of our daughter. I use an emotion coaching and gentle approach. He sees it as raising a wimp. Lord have mercy. At the time of separation, he went for full custody just to punish me. Not an alcoholic, but he was violent and controlling. Over time, he simply lost interest in our daughter, and contact is pretty infrequent these days. Although when she does see him, I tag along to support her, as she has a lot of anxiety around him. I should covet that he was successfully given a court order for every other weekend, but after a couple of very unsuccessful overnights, he stopped seeking overnight contact, and now his living situation is a bit precarious. She is 9. We make time to see his relatives and he pays maintenance, but if we go to see his relatives, I foot the bill. I suspect my daughter would quite like to ask him from her life, but I do try to encourage contact. It's exhausting, but at least we're safe. Make sure to hang out in public spaces and keep a diary, etc. Co-parenting challenges as it is, so much better than living in a house with that man, both for me and my daughter. Ooh. The original poster responded, this is encouraging, and I hope you and your daughter are in a better place. But let me know in the comment section below what you think about this, and if you, as a special need parent, are experiencing this. I would really like to know your input, and I'll catch you in the next one. Bye!